Hello, lovelies. It's nice to have you again. The lesson for today is on the topic Africa. I want you to get your writing materials and listen carefully as we go through the lesson. Africa is one of the continents in the world. Like you know, there are 7 continents in the world, and Africa is one of the continents. Africa is the second largest continent in the world. That's to say, the first largest continent in the world is Asia, while Africa is the second largest continent. Africa is a rich land full of different people, plants, and animals. That is why it is the second most populated continent in the world. So we can say Africa is the second most populated continent in the world because it is filled with different people, plants, and animals. Africa is surrounded by oceans and seas. On the west, the Atlantic Ocean is found. On the east, the Indian Ocean is seen. On the northeast, the Red Sea is found, and on the north, the Mediterranean Sea is located. Yeah, there are 4 oceans and seas in Africa, which are Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. You must also note that the Atlantic Ocean is seen in the west part of Africa, Indian Ocean is seen in the east part of Africa, the Red Sea is seen in the northeast part of Africa, and the Mediterranean Sea is seen in the north part of Africa. Okay? Now, this is the map of Africa with the countries in it. It shows the countries, the different countries in Africa. Like you know, we are in Nigeria, and Nigeria is one of the countries in Africa. So look at the map very well to identify the countries in Africa. We have Algeria, we have Libya, Egypt, Sudan, Nigeria, Mali, Angola, Zambia, etc. So these are countries found in Africa. Africa is divided into 5 regions. So there are 5 regions in Africa, which are Northern Africa, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and Central Africa. So take note of this. There are 5 regions in Africa. There are 5 regions in Africa. Now, also look at this in the aspect of a map. It is shown in the map the 5 regions are in Africa: the northern, western, central, southern, and eastern Africa. Now, let's look at this properly. Now, the part of the map which is on green is the northern Africa. So, countries found on that part of the map are called northern African countries. And examples of the northern African country is Algeria, Libya, etc. Then the Western Africa countries are on the part with pink. And the example of a Western African country is Guinea, Senegal, Nigeria, etc. The yellow part is the Central Africa with Cameroon, Congo as example of countries in Central Africa. The light green is the Northern Africa with Botswana as an example of Southern Africa country. Then the part with the ash color is the Eastern Africa with Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania as examples of Eastern Africa countries. So take note of this. You can also go back to the map of Africa to get more countries in the different regions of Africa. Now, there are some countries, or most of the countries in Africa can be classified into these 3 groups: Anglophones, Francophone, and Lusophone. Now, when we say some of the countries are Anglophone countries, it means they are English-speaking countries. Did you get that? And when we say some of the countries are Francophone countries, it means they are French speaking countries. And when we say they are Lusophone country, it means they are Portuguese speaking countries. Now we're going to look at the different countries under these three groups. Now, the Portuguese countries examples are Angola, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, and these are some of the countries that speaks what Portuguese, so they are Lusophones speaking countries. Now, some Anglophones country, which means English speaking countries, examples are Ghana, Kenya, Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Uganda, Zimbabwe. So these are some of the countries that speaks English. Then we also have Francophone countries, countries that speaks French. We have Algeria, we have Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Congo, Gabon, Mali, Morocco, Senegal, etc. These are some of the countries that speaks French. Okay, now different languages spoken in Africa. Some of these countries in Africa and the languages they speak. Algeria speaks Arabic. Angola speaks Portuguese. Benin speaks French. Botswana speaks English. Burkina Faso speaks French. Burundi speaks French. Cabo Verde speaks Portuguese. We have Central African Republic, speaks French. We have Chad speaks French. Comoros speaks French. Um, Democratic Republic of the Congo speaks French. Republic of the Congo speaks French. Cote d'Ivoire speaks French, and Djibouti speaks French. So these are some of the countries and the language spoken in Africa. Some of the African countries and the languages they speak. Now also it is placed in the map form. It is placed in the map form. Now the countries on red are countries that speaks English. Yeah, English speaking countries. The countries on blue are French speaking countries. The countries on dark green speaks Portuguese. The countries on brown speaks French or Arabic. The countries on purple speaks French and English. You can also see that there's a small part of the map with light blue. The country speaks Spanish. So these are the different countries in Africa and the languages spoken in the countries. Now, before we go, let's take a look at some interactive questions. The first one here says the countries on red speaks dash language. I come again. The countries on red speaks dash language. A. French, B. Portuguese, C. English. So I want you to answer it on your own. Okay, the right option there is C. The countries on red speaks English language. The next we have here is the next interactive question here says, why is Africa seen as the second most populated continent? Why is Africa seen as the second most populated continent? A. It is a rich land filled with people, plants, and animals. B. It is a black continent. And C. It has 4 oceans. The right option there says is A, and it says it is a rich land filled with people, plants, and animals. So this is where we end the lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I know you do. Now to your assignments. Answer the exercises on page 27 and 28 of your textbook. When you are done, take a picture of it and then upload to the portal for marking. See you in my next class. Bye bye.